In this video, we're going to talk about not application, the using should be the using of some example of the law of science. Now, in order to apply the law of science, the first thing that we need to know is the questions has to be given either given you three side or the angle formed by that two side, which is SAS. So in this example, the first example that we have, they given us one side, the angle, and the other side. So that means is SAS, then we can apply the law of science. Do you want to pause the video and do it by yourself? Okay, the law of science states that a squared plus b squared minus 2ac times cosine, whatever that is, let's say theta, is equals to c squared. This should be b squared. And the theta is formed by a and b. This is the general definition of the law of cosine. Now look at this question. We have a, beta, and c. Now we can solve the triangle. Let's apply the law of science in this specific question. We will get a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine beta equals to b squared. So the first side that we're going to solve is the b squared. And then with a b, equals to square root of a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine beta. Because we were finding the b squared, but we're trying to find b, so we need to take square root the whole function. Now let's substitute it. We got a squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 10 times 12 times cosine 13.5 degree. Let's type this in GeoGebra and try to find out what b is. So we have square root of square root of 10 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 10 times 12 times cosine 13.5 degree. Okay, and see, this is equal to what? Does it work? Oh, cancel. Oh, that's that because here. Okay, so it would be 6.8. We can round up to 6.9. Also, you need to double check. Make sure that the cosine is in degree instead of the radians because it will change the answer. Okay, then we found b is equal to 6.9. I'm going to write it down. Let me erase the other thing. So the one that we just found out, I'm going to use the red pen. The given one, I'm going to use the black one. Okay, so now we still need to find the other two angles, the alpha and the gamma. So we don't need to apply, of course, you can still apply the law of cosine, but now we can apply the law of science. The law of science says that sine alpha over A equals to sine beta over B. Because we already solved the B, we have A, the side A, and we also have a beta. So sine alpha over A, 10, equals to sine 13.5 degree for beta, and then 6.9 for B. So sine alpha, use algebra, we have 10 times sine 13.5 degree over 6.9. Yep. And then we're trying to find the inverse function so that we can solve for alpha. Oops, write this wrong. We are trying to get the inverse function. Okay, let me put this into GeoGebra. So in GeoGebra, we want to find the inverse function of 10 times sine 13.5 degree over 6.9. So that gives us 56 degree for alpha. So alpha is equal to 56 degree. And once we have alpha, the last angle will be easy because gamma is equal to 180 minus 56 degree minus 13.5 degree, which is 18.7 degree. That's it. Then we solve all of the answer. I would like you to write your answer in a group so it's easier for me to check your answer. B is equal to 6.9, alpha equals to 56 degree, and then gamma equals to 18.7 degree. And highlight your solution. Okay, let's check the answer. Always check your answer. How do we do that? Now, to check it, we know that the golden law for all of any triangle is the biggest angle corresponding to the longest side. So the biggest angle is alpha, the longest side is C equals to 12. It works. And we also need to check the smallest angle, 13.5 degree, corresponding to the shortest side, which is 6.9. Also works. So that means, yes, this is our solution. Okay, second question. Second question is, in this question, we're given SAS. In the next one, I'm going to show you if you're given 3 sides, and I want you to solve the triangle. So you have a triangle ABC, and then A is equals to 20, C equals to 18, B equals to 25, and then, do you want to try it by yourself and just pause the video? Okay, now let's do it together. So you can solve any right triangle. I can just go ahead and do the angle A. So I have B squared plus C squared minus 2BC times cosine A equals to A squared. Then I have 25 squared plus 18 squared minus 2 times B 25 times C 18, and then cosine A we don't know, and then A squared is 20 squared. Now let's solve for cosine A. So cosine A is equals to 20 squared minus 25 squared minus 18 squared divided by negative 2 times 25 times 18. Now let's solve this guy on our GeoGebra. So we have 20 squared minus 25 squared minus 18 squared, and then divided by negative 2 times 25 times 18. Forgot the 2, which is 0.61. Okay, write it down in here is equal to 0.61. And then A is equals to the arc cosine the inverse function 0.61. Again, do this on decimal, or you can just go ahead and do it from the previous one and put arc cosine. Oops. So that gives you 52 degree. Again, keep the angle in a whole number. So I have angle A equals to 52 degree. And how do we find B and C? Oh, one more thing I want to point out, this is in radians. It's not in, you need to be careful if this is in radians or in degree. So again, make sure that when you're doing the arc things, you need to convert this, double check at that if it's in radians or degree. Okay, A is equal to, sorry, here, 15 degree. Here is radians or degree. Make sure that you will check it. Okay, now in here, your final answer. Now, we already solved for A is 15 degree. I'm going to write it in here. So the others, we need to solve for B and C. We can just go ahead and use the law of science. Law of science says that sine A over A equals to sine B over B. So sine A is sine 15 degree over A, which is 20, equals to sine B, we don't know, and over B, which is 25 degree. 25. So sine B is equal to 25 times sine 15 degree over 20. Now let's do it. So sine B is equal to 25 times sine 15 degree divided by 20. Again, here is where you need to check if you use degree or radians. So it's equal to 0.985. Again, this answer is sine B. So that means we need to find the inverse function for that, which is 0.985. And then we get the arc sine, which gives you a 80 degree. So that means angle B is equal to 18 degree. So I write this in here. That gives me 18 degree. And then C is equal to 100 degree minus A minus B. Very easy. We don't even need to do the law of science. So we have 180 minus 18 degree minus 15 degree is equal to 48 degree. Yep. Now, last step is check your answer. Longest side, 25, biggest angle. Shortest side, smallest angle. Then we're done. That's the solution. Write it down. A is equal to 15 degree. B is 18 degree. C is 48 degree. Then we're done. That's it.